Welcome to my arena tier list for Magnum Quest. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a nice comment if you enjoyed this content. If you're looking for a general tier list, then I have one of those too. I'll leave the link for that in the description down below. This arena tier list is not in order from best to worst. First off, we've got Ekra in the S tier due to her high single target and area damage, as well as her periodic invulnerability and ability to steal attack stats and healing effect from enemies. Then we have the king of Magnum Quest himself, Eris, who excels in every part of the game, so of course he's great at Arena also. He deals massive damage, debuffs enemies, and can be very difficult to take down if you don't have the right team composition when going up against him. And then after that, we have Arthur, who also deserves a spot in the S tier because he makes it much more difficult for the enemy team to deal damage by providing heals, shields, and defensive buffs for his allies. Sir also belongs in the S tier as a result of her support, healing, and damage being very useful in Arena. She is just a very strong hero and is always a great addition to just about any team. Fang is our first hero that falls down into the A tier. He becomes much more useful after level 201, and especially when he has good gear as well. If you want to make use of him before then, you'll have to have a very keen sense of optimal hero positioning based on the enemy team's formation. He deals insane damage but dies fast, so you can attempt to cover his weaknesses by complementing him with heroes like Sir and Arthur to keep him alive longer. If you use him properly in the right situation at the right time, then he is a beast. Issy ends up in the A tier as a great damage dealer with a stun, and at higher levels she gains the ability to deplete enemies' energy. Aluin is our first B tier hero. She's an excellent healer for the early game and mid game PvE, but in Arena she feels lackluster compared to other heroes with healing capabilities. She could mind control an enemy to fight for her, but it doesn't make up for her lacking contribution. Gila is an A tier hero that has high single target damage and dishes out poison to multiple enemies. After level 151, she increases the damage they take. Cynia is an S tier hero. She pairs well with Sir and other heroes that require a lot of energy, since her ultimate distributes her energy to surrounding allies. She can debuff enemies to make them take more damage, and buffs her strongest ally to increase their attack even further. Her Royal Blessing ability greatly strengthens the defenses of the back row allies, making her a good counter to heroes like Cynia and Carlotta. Amelia belongs in the S tier due to her great control effects and haste buff that she provides to surrounding allies. She can turn an enemy into a goose and lure it in while also debuffing it to take more damage, as well as knock down enemies. Sorsha earns herself a spot in the B tier due to being outclassed by almost all of the other damage dealers in terms of damage, and not providing much else to the team. Cyan is S tier because he can penetrate the back line, deals heavy bleed damage, can remove an enemy from the battlefield for 3 seconds, and can apply big debuffs to the entire enemy team. Carlotta goes to the B tier. Although her damage is high, she doesn't offer anything else. She's good at taking down squishy enemy targets in the back line, and she can be a good counter against Fair, as she will cause him to pull the wrong enemies. Harry is an A tier tank in PvP. He is an effective damage sponge that also provides attack and haste buffs on up to 2 allies. Kados, however, is an S tier tank in PvP. He's highly survivable thanks to his high defensive stats and his non-dispellable shield. He has an AoE silence that affects the entire enemy team, and he can debuff enemies' defense by 50% as well as execute enemies with low HP when he dies. He also can reduce enemies' energy, and his passive causes enemies to regenerate energy slower. Phi is S tier as a result of his high damage, team-wide haste buff at the beginning of the battle, and control on his ultimate. Durla ends up in the A tier with high area damage, 1 area stun once she's high enough level, good survivability, and the ability to debuff enemies' haste. Auric deals high damage and debuffs enemies' haste, accuracy, reduces their energy, and interrupts their actions, landing him a spot in the S tier. Lone is an S tier in Arena due to her control effects and her ability to shield allies from fatal damage. Alden is a tank that applies freezes, resurrects random dead heroes, and has a self-resurrect, but doesn't end up performing very well in Arena, which puts him in the B tier. One of Vera's most underwhelming game modes happens to be Arena, so we're throwing her in the C tier. Naomi performs very well in Arena against teams that have a lot of buffs and apply debuffs due to her Disperse effect, which removes enemy buffs and ally debuffs. She can also heal allies and shines when paired with other wild heroes due to her passive buffs. She also has a silence, so she's easily in S tier. Although Hista does have very high damage, she doesn't perform well in Arena because she has low survivability, and there's just better options, so she ends up in the B tier. Flan is A tier in the Arena, it being one of her most high-performing areas compared to other game modes. She negates enemy buffs, and at high level she can also lower enemy damage. Gus is in the D tier, he's trash. Fair pulls enemies in, which allows Gaia and Eris to deal more damage, and he also debuffs enemies, so he's in the S tier if placed properly and paired with Eris and Gaia. Osish is S tier. She's the best control hero in the game. She also applies buffs and debuffs, making her very useful in all game modes except bosses. Rickers is an S tier tank in Arena due to his high amount of control. The rest of the heroes are C and D tier in Arena, mostly D tier. So I'm just going to throw them in there real quick because nobody really cares about these guys in Arena, honestly. I hope you enjoy this tier list, and if you disagree with any of the placements, let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you will. I'll be making more Magnum Quest content very soon. Peace.